All right, so welcome to episode
5?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Episode 5 of the Sidetracked podcast. I'm your host, Jack. Joining me as always is not Jack, as he's been come to be known rather.
By 4 of our subscribers. 2 of
That's
which
right.
may or may not be me.
But yeah, so basically we're doing another kind of chilled episode like last time. We thought, rather than talk about something new, because there's not much new to talk about that's of much interest, we might reminisce about some old stuff. We don't really have show notes per se, but we thought, why don't we talk about some good old Cartoon Network shows we watched when we were young? So that's what we're going to do. Are you excited?
I'm not. excited, or are the listeners excited? You're not excited?
No, I'm very excited. I always like doing these.
I like reminiscing about these shows.
But yeah, I mean, one I wanted to sort of start with was, I guess, the classic Ed, and Eddy. When I think of early cartoon shows in my childhood, are just sort of that era, late 90s to early 2000s, a kind of golden era of Cartoon Network. I think of Ed, and Eddy. It's probably one of the most memorable. I'll have in my head pictures of like, I remember Courage, the Cowardly Dog, or Dexter's Laboratory, or Camp Lazlo, whatever. But I really have scenes ingrained in my head from the Ed and Eddy show, or like lines.
I think it's just probably my favorite as well, to be honest, out of all of them.
It definitely, I think, hinges a lot on Ed, and just kind of him being a bit of a dumb goof, and his sort of interactions with Double D and Eddy and the rest of the kids in the cul-de-sac. I find like that's where most of the humor comes from, for me at least.
Ed's blatant, like, just complete stupidity, but just some of the things he can accomplish too, though. Like, he has superhuman strength and speed and stuff, like, even compared to the other, like, cartoon characters he is.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's an entire episode where he becomes a monster and eats everyone, essentially. Edzilla, I think. Or, like, he cocoons them like it's like Alien.
He loves, like, cheesy old horror movies.
I do appreciate the sort of dynamic the three of them have, how they kind of vary at odds with one another. Like, you've got the smart one, you've got the scammer, immoral one, and then you've got the sort of lovable goofball who's along for the ride. But they're all sort of united in their quest for jawbreakers. And
also the fact that nobody really likes any of them.
Yeah, they're sort of socially maligned. It's such a funny, goofy sort of show. And it never really got old for me, even though it kind of had the same sort of... It would sort of be flavour of the week, but scams. Like, what scam is Eddy going to concoct this time around? And how is he going to trick the kids to getting money for his jawbreakers?
He never gets them.
Yeah, they come close. It's sort of like a tragic comedy in a way.
Well, it resets the status quo, doesn't it, every time? Like, Eddy needs to get money to get jawbreakers again because everything is... I mean, there were a couple of episodes that were unrelated to scamming and jawbreakers. Like, sometimes they would have to just help somebody, or...
Oh, sure.
They would be, like, getting abused by Ed's younger sister, who was also, for some reason, a superpowered beast in that show.
Yeah. Or, they were just trying to find sort of a social connection. I remember, I think one of the first episodes I watched when I was a kid, and I remember fondly, is the pool party, where they want to get to Naz's pool party. And I think Eddy finds, like, these old trunks that his older brother had, which they try to use, and then they're too tight-fitting and they fling off, and so they're naked, hiding behind shit and hiding in the pool. That's a great one.
The Kanker sisters are always pretty funny, too.
Yeah.
You know, the orange and blue and yellow haired girls?
Yeah.
They're like fucking...
Kind of like...
I'm not going to say the word, but they're like...
detestable.
Very sexually violent toward the Eds, let's say that.
Oh, you're going down there.
Implied sometimes, I think, that, like, obviously, because the guy who did the cartoon he wrote erotica, didn't he? Or something.
Yeah. I don't know if he wrote erotica per se, but I know he definitely did very adult cartoons. And so if I've got this right, this show was basically like a bet between a friend of his where he said, I reckon you couldn't make a kid's show cartoon. He went, okay, I'll do it. It might be one of the best works he's remembered for.
Probably my favorite cartoon of that type anyways.
Yeah.
Maybe my favorite cartoon, depending on what mood I'm in on the day you ask. I think, what's his name, Rolf?
Oh, yes, the farm boy, the son of a shepherd.
Voiced by Goku's voice actor. I'm actually
That's
just
pretty
reading
crazy.
Trivia of IMDb. Apparently, he originally pitched the show to Nickelodeon,
Oh.
He wasn't allowed to have full control over it.
Well, that's dumb.
There's some frequently asked questions in relation to Ed, Edd and Eddy on IMDb. Who and what is playing?
I like the third one.
Which country does Rolf come from?
But it's not written that way. Which country comes Rolf from?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, I corrected it I had auto-correct in my brain, dude.
We might talk about the film at one point. I haven't actually seen it in a long time, but from what I understand, people love it, and it really ties the show nicely together.
It has a very good ending. It has a sense of finality to that story, and there are unlike a lot of these shows, I don't think most of these shows probably have real endings, or maybe they do. I just haven't seen them. Do you know that there's full-on theories about Ed, Edd and Eddy being purgatory, and they're all dead, and that's why there's no adults around, and that their characteristics are they're all from different time periods because that's where they died in?
I have heard that. I remember the evidence is kind of the fact that Rolf is sort of an East European farmer immigrant from the 20s or 30s or something.
Cul-de-sac.
Yeah, or even from earlier. And then Eddy, I think people point to Eddy
or something.
Yeah, he makes a reference to a James Bond film or something, and so people pinpoint him to living in that decade. I can't remember which film it is. I want to say it's The Man with the Golden Gun. So it's a joke about a third nipple.
Oh, right. I think that rings a bell.
Yeah, oddly enough, I'm pretty sure that comes from the episode I mentioned previously with the pool party.
I love Ed's addiction to buttered toast. Buttered toast. I can't do his voice very well.
I used to idolize that. I related to him so much. Tall, lumbering goofball who's completely socially inept and just stupid, which is me.
Well, he's kind of the best at social interaction out of all of them, because he doesn't really have I guess the consensus is he has no self awareness, so he doesn't really care.
So you're a man of musical background. I was curious what you make of the iconic opening and soundtrack. I
love the opening. I still whistle that shit sometimes to this day. Even though I haven't watched an episode in years now.
No, it's pretty good, and it sort of captures the spirit of the show and the characters. How Eddy's trying to frame it on him, and Double D's concerned with adjusting so the camera is sort of correct, and Ed's just sort of running into them at the end.
Yeah, 100%. And I like the jazzy sort of I guess it's just jazzy.
Yeah,
most of the time, and just really out there with a lot of weird and different instruments, and the sound effects the sumawa and stuff like that.
Probably, I think about all we can say for Edd and Eddy, and
yeah, go and watch it. Even just just some episodes you find on YouTube or something like that.
Oh, absolutely. It's good, and there's a great meme community behind it. There's some great lines, great scenes, set pieces. The son of a shepherd and the three-shoe beating. It's one of the funniest things I've watched.
More influential than I think a lot of people realize, especially in the terms of sound effects used in cartoons and such.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Which one do we want to talk about next?
Well, I had next, because I was sort of going in order of, okay, what do I really remember? Edd and Eddy was the top one because I still quote it to this day. The next one along that came to mind was Kids Next Door.
Yeah, I agree.
Or Codename Kids Next Door.
I love Codename Kids Next Door as well when I was younger.
One of the things I love about it is it's constructed in such a way that it really feels like it's come from the mind of a child. The whole concept.
I was about to say, it's so hugely creative and imaginative. Everything they make everything out of is so fun and goofy. How they have bubblegum as gadgets and stuff like that. And all their gadgets are just made out of bloody cardboard and bottles and...
And it's definitely something I don't know much about the background of this show, but it's definitely something where I could totally go and say the creators probably reminisced on their childhood and went, oh, what kind of crazy shit did we think of as kids? What if we were in an organization or, all sorts of things, and they kind of just, let's make that a show. Everything from the acronyms to some of the kind of situational comedy episodes. The big one I can think of is BRA standing for Battle Ready Armor is such a kid thing.
Yeah. And when they turn into like teenagers, they have to get like mind wiped and they become evil automatically and stuff like that.
Yeah, like it's even got the whole idea of kids rule, adults suck. I don't want to ever grow up.
Well,
type
they literally
thing.
fight their own dads and everything.
Yeah. No, that's what one of the things I really like about it. And yeah, no, just the whole concept within the show, like this massive tree house full of gadgets and fighting and all that.
It kind of expanded to its own universe too, where they had like a moon base, where, like the higher ups, and there was different like squads, and they all had their own themes.
Yeah.
Most of these Cartoon Network shows had pretty decent like films.
Yeah, films tied into them. That's
this
quite funny.
Also had a movie, actually, I believe, and revealed that his dad was number one. His dad is like the legendary number 0 or something, maybe.
Yes.
And he regains his memory and helps him.
That was a good movie. I remember I missed it initially because I had to stay over at my granddad's house, and I was upset because at this time, you didn't have the concept of Foxtel, IQ didn't exist, and certainly not streaming and pausing shows. So I missed I had to watch like a rerun on the Saturday or Sunday afternoon or something. I was very pumped for it.
Yeah, I remember it being pretty good.
Is there any particular episode that jumps out at you that you want to talk about that you can remember?
It's been so long since I watched it. None of them jump out to me, except the ones that used to be on repeat all the time, but I wouldn't regard those as being the best.
I'd say an episode I remember really liking was sort of the origin story of kids and adults, where kids were in like the Garden of Eden and adults were their slaves and revolted.
Yeah.
And it's number 2 telling it as a speech, and then it's like, don't think of such silly things, and then at the end there's a twist where his teacher makes a call and he's like, they know.
The 2 episodes I remember that were on the most for me were the Candy Pirate one.
Oh, yes.
The one where number 4, the Australian one, goes to like that soft like kitty doll playground with the number 3.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, this stinks, and like it's revealed to be a big plot by a bad guy, and he stops it without any of them even realizing. It's I can't remember.
I also remember the 4th flavour, where number 5 goes on a journey to find the legendary 4th ice cream flavour. There's vanilla, there's chocolate, there's strawberry.
Yeah, I do remember that one. Isn't it lemonade at the end?
It's never revealed. I thought it was caramel, just based off the colour.
I thought it was maybe. Could have been.
I'm not sure. But we'll never know because
they lost it, didn't they?
They put sprinkles on the ice cream, and you don't put sprinkles on the ice cream. The sacred ice cream. That's like drawing a picture of Muhammad, I guess.
That is one show I feel like you could just bring back now and just make them adults. Like, that is one of the few shows where you could just bring it back and it would still be like kind of an interesting premise. Alright, well, yeah, that's Kids Next Door.
Yeah.
Another good show.
Fun, action-packed adventure, and I'm very impressed. I'm pretty sure I'm saying this correctly, that they had an acronym for every single episode.
Yeah, that's true. Every single episode, they would be like, as you said, Battle Ready Force Armor.
Battle Ready Armor, I think. And then another one was Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, I guess. It's a big one.
Yeah, that's one of the other really good ones, I think. I just love Billy in that show more than anything. He's so fucking stupid. Oh, God. I don't know. This show had like a pretty consistent storyline as to it. Actually, I feel like as it went on, well, it had a lot of reoccurring characters. Like Billy, gives birth to the
Gregor the spider. Yeah,
and every time he sees the spider, he's like, "Get out of my house!" He's terrified of spiders and he wants to kill him.
It's a pretty. They can be pretty intense episodes where it's like a son dealing with the fact that his father has disowned him, essentially.
Yeah, they disguise it as Billy's just scared of spiders, but he genuinely just wants his dad to love him. Like, Dad, why don't you ever love me? And I think Billy does eventually come around.
Yeah.
But they have very funny.
They kind of have ongoing stories for each kind of character. So they're sort of sub-narratives. So each episode's kind of like just a random, what antics will they get up to this time? But you'll see people like Harry... Is it Harry Plopper?
Yeah, Harry Plopper. I think so.
Yeah.
What about
in the chamber pot of secrets?
No. Do you know?
I think that's the episode.
Alvarado,
Yes.
that we mentioned in a previous episode of this, talking about Snake Plissken.
Yes, we did.
Him being based on Snake and Ash.
Mm-hmm.
But I just saw this guy's name.
Fredburger.
Do you remember this guy?
I do. Oh my god.
And he would just be like, yes.
Fredburger? You know, there's a lot of good side characters. Hoss Delgado, Fredburger. Jack-O-Lantern, he only appears for like a Halloween special or something. Episode? And no one believed me that he existed. And they're saying, you're just making that up. And so
remember that Wii game you had?
Yeah, that's
like
yeah. It was like a fighter. It was kind of like that Shrek GameCube game that you had.
Shrek Super Slam. Yeah,
it's probably the same developer if I had to guess. But yeah, it was sort of a bird's eye view for brawler fighter, and he was on it. And I was finally vindicated when I brought people over to play it, and they go, "Oh, you weren't lying." I was like, "Yeah. Why would I lie about there being a character called Jack just because my name is Jack?" I'm not that much of a egomaniac.
I don't have many specific episodes of Billy and Mandy that I liked from memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, I always sort of just remember, like, the character relations, because they're kind of blurred into episode to episode, like, you know, Grim and Billy's mum don't get along at all. Grim and Billy's dad do, because he has no idea he's the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, he's just like, he's as dumb as Billy is.
And then there's
Grim is Jamaican for some reason,
which is nice. It's such a wacky show, just everything, like the design.
I love it.
And I looked up Maxwell Adams, who was the creator of the show, and sadly, he was making Black Dracula's great. By the way,
is that what he's called?
No, he's just called Dracula, but I think he's meant to be based off like the blaxploitation Black Dracula.
This guy plays him. He's in like movies. He's also the
Phil Lamar.
He's Jon Stewart. In the Justice League animated show. Green Lantern.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he's in Samurai Jack as well as Samurai Jack.
Yeah, he is Samurai Jack.
That would be a good segue to Samurai Jack, but I still want to talk about Billy and Mandy briefly. What a shame. Yeah. But no, I was going to say, so Maxwell Adams, it's a shame because he was actually making an internet show called Dogmeat, I think, and it was a puppet show set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and I was really excited for it. It was going to be and he's bringing back some of the cast from Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. It was going to be more of a mature, adult-type Mad Max with puppet show, essentially, but at the end of the day, it didn't come to fruition. He tried to do a Kickstarter, and it worked for a time, but I think he was a bit in over his head, sadly. It's a shame. I was pumped to see something from him.
I think we've reviewed these probably in order of how the ones I like the most.
Yeah. Did we want to talk about Samurai Jack at all? Or?
As a kid, I was never super into Samurai Jack.
I've grown to appreciate it more as an adult. Like, it would be on, but I would generally kind of change the channel. And that's not to belittle the show.
Be able to keep my interest when I was younger.
Yeah.
I didn't have the attention span to watch a show that like much more adult orientated. Even though I used to watch Batman, but that's different for me because
for sure
I'm biased.
Yeah, no, I guess all I'll say to it is what I appreciate is how much of in sort of the style of like Big Trouble in Little China, which we've of course talked about. I love how it sort of mishmashes everything. So it's sort of like a cyberpunk Western samurai film. Samurai series. But it even feels like a film. Like, you'll have aspect ratios change to kind of mimic classic styles of filmmaking, like extreme close-ups for westerns or cropped landscapes, or just really dark chiaroscuro lighting for black noir stuff.
It's a more adult and more arty style show to be sure.
Like, I definitely appreciate all the technical elements. My understanding is they use a lot more frames per second than standard animated shows normally do, and that's what makes it so fluid with all the really fast-paced fighting action sequences. I did catch some of the Series 5, which was the Adult Swim one. That was great, what I saw of it. So I may have to revisit this show, but I thought, just since I'd mentioned it, I was curious if you had any thoughts on it.
Yeah, I just like it. I remember that, like, the premise is cool. And some episodes did lure me in, the more action-orientated episodes. I could watch and be like, "Whoa, that's really cool!"
Really great concept.
I would probably be better watching it now.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me to think that Genndy Tartakovsky, who made that show, he also did Dexter's Laboratory. Which was a bit mind-boggling to me because I don't see a lot of connections to them. I don't recall other connections. Dexter's was another one I wasn't all that keen on. I think that was like the first Cartoon Network show, or one of the very first.
I think at this point I don't have much to say about anything of the other ones, really. I'm just going to give my general thoughts about the rest of these.
Sure.
Foster's Home was something I always thought was a bit overrated, but I can see why other people would like it because the animation was very unique and all the designs of the characters were very cool. Camp Lazlo, I remember you really liked that.
I loved Lazlo.
Apparently it has not aged very well, people have said, when they've rewatched it as adults.
Oh, I'm sure it hasn't.
There was My Gym Partner's a Monkey, which is actually one that I liked.
I liked Jake a lot. The monkey, the aforementioned monkey. Adam Lyon was not too interesting. Yeah, he was a bit kind of... I don't know how they explain it, actually. There's something about his attitude... Sounds weird to say about a cartoon character, but there's something about his attitude that just rubbed me the wrong way. So I liked the episodes that were more Jake-centered or on the other kind of characters surrounding them, more so than Adam's story.
Yeah, I guess it was just like the thing that like everything else is built around. So
I always enjoyed Powerpuff Girls was like a guilty pleasure. You know, you'd never want to admit it, but it was genuinely quite fun. It was never, and I had a good cast of villains too. Oddly enough, I'd say that's probably one of the best rogues galleries outside of Batman. Like you've got Mojo Jojo. Jojo.
People really enjoy.
What was that?
Him? Is it him? The lobster.
Oh yes, yes.
Queer, gender fluid. I think it's gender queer.
Yeah.
Character.
Yep, him. There's the Gangrene gang. There's Fuzzy.
The Amoeba Brothers.
Yep. There's the male
equivalents. There's the giant monsters that they just fight sometimes.
Yeah, and there's isn't there like a biggest fan type as well? Like, there's some kind of Powerpuff Girls obsessy stalker guy. I don't know if it was a one-off or not. I can't remember. But there's like a fair few recurring ones that are always nice. And there's a lot of interesting little breaking the fourth wall moments that I think one of my favorite episodes from that show was when the girls have no idea what to do, and they go, something's missing, and there's no narrator. Oh, no, what happens is Mojo Jojo's narrating the episode, and so whatever he says will happen to them. Kind of like Stranger Than Fiction, that Will Ferrell movie, oddly enough.
Yeah, where he's like the character in the book or whatever.
Yeah, I think Mojo Jojo says something like, suddenly they forgot how to fly. And so then they don't have their powers and they have to walk and stop him. And it turns out that he's trapped the narrator, and so they free him, and then kind of concludes the episode. You don't see him, it's like a first-person perspective of them opening a door going, oh, who's this guy? He's all gagged up. And I thought, I love that kind of stuff where they just sort of go a bit crazy. I would say that probably has the most iconic opening of any of these shows we've talked about.
Dun, 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 dun.
Or even just like the narration point as well, like sugar spice and everything nice.
In the city of Townsville at the beginning of every show.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the prequel movie to it?
No.
But yeah, that just goes back to the point of every bloody one of these shows got some kind of movie, including Ben 10, which got live action films. Did you ever watch those?
Oh my god, dude, you have no idea how garbage that is, man. I was so hyped for that movie because I used to love Ben 10. Ben 10 was one of the best shows. Then they made the sequel Alien Force, which was also good. Even Ultimate Alien was okay. It actually had like a continuing story the whole time. And then they did Ben 10. Oh, what was the one after that?
Wasn't it just Ben 10? Like it was a reboot?
No.
But it was kind of in the same vein as like a Teen Titans Go? Or was there something else?
Omniverse.
Okay.
and then they did just the Ben 10 reboot, and it's fucking hot. It's just
it's not worthwhile.
It's that. It's just.
Mate, I forget a lot. I only remember, I remember all the aliens, but in terms of names, I could only remember Upchuck, oddly enough, who's probably the least known, and Ghost's Face?
Ghost Freak.
Ghost Freak. Okay, well, I could only remember one and a half.
They got rid of Ghost Freak and Ripjaws. Remember Ripjaws? The fish
Yes.
So they replaced some of the original ones with Wildvine. That was one of the new 10 in Force. Some water hydro based one, and then they upgraded Stinkfly. He actually looks more like Big Chill from Alien Force.
Yeah,
like he's blue and has orange wings, and he's like a humanoid character.
Oh, okay.
It's really it's really bad. I really hate it.
That's a shame. Oh, yeah, I remember when you started to find out that additional aliens were, unlocked on his Omnitrix, I was thinking, damn, that's fun. Just the excitement of, seeing a new alien and him trying to figure out the powers to it.
Bro, imagine being Dr. Animo and you see this fucking little 10-year-old kid and you're like, I'm going to beat you up, kid, and then this motherfucker just turns into a giant red fucking alien with 4 arms and beats the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Fucking hell, man. Man. Ben 10 is actually... I used to be obsessed with Ben 10 for a while.
Yeah. That was sort of one of the first shows on Cartoon Network, I guess, where there was kind of an ongoing story with, Vilgax, even Kevin... 11?
Yeah.
I was about to say 07, but that's a different Kevin.
That's a different Kevin. Not as cool. Depending on who you ask.
Friendly Geordies would say differently.
Oh, well, Friendly Geordies can shout us out and get us some subscribers.
I guess the episode of mine I liked was Ben 10,000.
But that's my favourite episode too. Yeah. That's such a sick episode, man.
When are we going to get...
We never get to that point.
I know.
Shame they just won't. Let's reboot it again.
I really wanted to see Ultimate Zero in action. Or Absolute Zero, sorry. What other shows are there that we haven't discussed?
The Misadventures of Flapjack.
I didn't watch that one at all. I do know that J.G. Quintel worked on that. He then worked on Regular Show, which would we count? I think that's in the twilight of Cartoon Network.
That came later.
That's much later. Although, oddly enough, I wonder if the show would be more relatable now, because I think we're at the age of the main characters. I think they're 22, 23. Probably not. It'd probably be very cringe if you went back and watched some of that show.
Went back and watched what show, sorry?
Regular Show.
No, actually, I watched it throughout high school, because it was reruns on TV, and I loved it. So,
I enjoyed it when I saw it, but I'm not sure if that's one of those kind of ages a bit. I don't know. I every now and then I go to my brother and I do the whole hand boning. I don't know, because we used to find that so funny. Muscle Man was definitely underrated on that.
Yeah, just Fat Hulk, isn't he? That's his kind of his joke, is he looks like the Hulk but just fat.
Yeah, pretty much.
And every time he jokes about something, he's like, "My mom."
Yeah, Benson's a close second. Not too sure why, but the Australian version would normally cut out certain jokes, and there was one with him where Rigby and Mordecai knocked into him running off somewhere. He's like, "You guys, come back here and help me pick up my balls," because some gumballs fell out of his little machine thing.
Yeah.
And I think they used words like turd and all that, but they just changed it to dork in the Australian run of that episode. I mean, he conceived of that show, the character model of Benson and the model of Mordecai, the Blue Jay, are apparitions from these two guys who were smoking weed in an earlier skit. And he clearly wanted to make something a bit more mature, I suppose. And I think he's doing that now. I think he's got another show out, which is Adult Swim, which is on Adult Swim, I think. So he still did get away with a few things in that show. Oh, what other cartoons are there? There's Courage the Cowardly Dog, but I was fucking scared shitless as a kid, so I'd never really watched it.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair to say. It's horrific. Like the hotel with the dog and all the weird shit that happens there, cockroaches and things. Jesus.
Yeah, I remember watching it and I would just kind of be like a little bit freaked out, but not too much.
Yeah.
I guess I was just like, so the more creepy ones, like the really weird CGI stuff that they used to put in.
I remember
it would, like, transcend the style of the show, and that would like throw you off as a kid.
I don't remember what the guy was saying or what it looked like, but one episode I really didn't like was there's like this sandstorm that's happening. There's this tall giant creature that's slowly moving towards them that Courage can see, but Eustace and Miriam, I mean, they're always oblivious, can't, and he's just saying something. He's just coming closer and closer.
Oh yeah. I know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's spooky. I think one of the other reasons I didn't quite like it is it was hard to kind of get behind Courage, just because he is a dog who, I mean, he sort of speaks now and then, but normally as a gag.
Yeah, usually he just goes, like he'll just like make random noises.
But again, I can't fault it for its creativity. There's never anything wrong with making a scarier kind of cartoon for kids. You know what I mean? Yeah, but when I was younger, I guess I never really liked horror all that much, or anything that was quote-unquote horror themed. So I wouldn't really watch Courage if it was on, especially because they always seem to give it a late night slot anyway. So it didn't bode well with me watching it when it's late at night. I think that would probably cover about...
Yeah, I think I'm done for the most part. Nothing's popping into my head. I'm actually very tired right now, to be honest with you. We actually went out to...
We did.
I'm not used to actually doing shit. So...
Had a couple of drinks, watched the rugby game, which we also don't really do.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just on.
2 minutes in, and there was already a head-high tackle, which is illegal.
Game. Jesus,
there's a knock-on. Yeah, apparently St. George got smashed 30-something to 6, I think. So they somehow scored more points in the last 15 minutes. So we left 15 minutes before the game was done. Because we were like, okay, let's call it a night. And yeah, they continued to get thrashed. It's like that character from The Simpsons. He's already dead. Exactly. I guess we'll probably do a quick question to the audience, as we always do. What would you say is your favourite kids show you watched, and why?
Leave your answers in the comments down below.
That's right. See you next time, guys. I was about to say buys.
Buys, gays, they,
him,
buys, lesbians, hims, hers.
Adios.